Hey everybody, Steve here again in the Illinois recording studio. Got a very cool piece here. These are near and dear to my heart. Rogers Wood Dynasonic snare drums. These drums are something that I've been collecting for decades. Started collecting them in the days when the likes of eBay were just beginning and these things were just coming out of the closet. And I used to buy them and sell them, and I had a huge collection of them at one time. And like I've always told people, I don't consider myself the owner of these things, more like the caretaker, and then eventually, you know, we keep them for a while and move them on to the next caretaker. This is a drum like that. I have personal fondness for Rogers Wood Dynasonics, obviously, as I said. I have already a personal playing 5x14 and a 6.5x14, plus a 5x14 all-white marine that was Louis Bellson's as well. So this is a drum I had at one point, came back to me, and rather than keep it, which I'd be happy to do, but let's move it along to somebody else who can enjoy it. This is a unique one in that Rogers, when they first started making these Dynasonics in the 60s, late 50s, 1960, they basically started with a 3-ply shell with a fruit wood stain interior. And the lugs were not these lugs. They were what was called the bread and butter lug. It was a cast brass lug. Actually, that lug was prone to cracking, but that's another story. And then the hoops were a higher profile hoop. They sat up about another, maybe at least another 1/8 of an inch. So you had a 3-ply shell, a fruit wood stain interior, taller rims, and the B&B bread and butter lugs. So right around 63-ish, and the serial numbers for those first ones started with 1001. This drum is 49, I think it is 4263. So this was made right around that time when they transitioned from the old build spec to the new build spec. The new build spec was a 5-ply shell with reinforcing rings, not 3-ply. Instead of a fruit wood interior, it went to a clear coat lacquer. The lugs went to beaver tail lug, which is what you see here, which is a cast lug, so no more issues with cracking. And they changed the profile of the hoop from the taller hoop down to the slightly shorter, which is basically standard height for all other drums, hoop here. So there are some differences there. Once in a while, you'll see what we call a transition era drum, and that's what this is. This is a drum that has some components of both eras. So this particular drum still has a 3-ply shell with fruit wood interior, but it has the beaver tail lugs and the lower profile rims. So it's a wonderful piece. It's got the rounder, what we call the clock face strainer, which is rounded on the sides, and then as it went into this 5-ply shell era, the sides of that strainer were straightened a little bit. Doesn't mean a lot, it's just characteristics. So what you got here is a transition era drum. You don't see many of these because there weren't that many made. They went from one to the other, and a few of these got mixed, and some of them didn't. The drum sounds incredible, and as many of you probably already know, Rogers today makes replicas of the Wood Dynasonic snare drum. I know those drums well because I worked with the owners of Rogers for over 2 years on the R&D for those drums, including providing 2 of my original Wood Dynas for the specs to create the new ones. And I have in my personal collection the next to last prototype and then the final approved prototype when these went back on the market, plus the first production drum in the 5 and the 6.5-inch sizes in my personal collection for the reproductions. So the reproductions are great. They're great drums. They sound good. Rogers makes them. They're distributed by Big Bang Distribution. But this is the original real deal. And there are some characteristics here that you won't find in the new drums, one of which is wood that has aged since the 1960s. So there's going to be a characteristic to the sound of the drum that's not going to be the same with wood that's newer. But all things being equal, this is a great piece. They're both great. The originals, in my opinion, are still the ones to have because there's only so many of them out there, especially in this condition, in this spec build with the transition era, and of course, sounding this great. Every one sounds different. This one's incredible. So I'm going to give you a little demo on this, and then you will see it. Of course, I've got it for sale in my Reverb store, or you can contact me at vintagedrums@AOL.com. There's a reason Buddy Rich and Louis Bellson love this drum so much, and you'll see some of the examples of it here because the sensitivity, as you know, the Rogers Dynasonic frame, when tuned properly, dialed in properly, gives incredible sensitivity all through the edges, center, everywhere on the drum. Somebody like Buddy and Louie, that meant a lot. So here we go. A few little examples, and you'll give you an idea what it sounds like. tone control, dry it up a little bit. Even more. Let's take it down back to where it was.